The Giants signed another starter in Tyler Mahle, but are they done making moves? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? Happy New Year. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, thanks to you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are talking about the Giants signing starting pitcher Tyler Mahle, why they were out on Imai, and Imai headed to Houston to play for the Astros. And last but not least, are they done? Are the Giants done making moves? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com to place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, well, we knew something was probably going to happen simply because Imai's posting date had an expiration date, and that was January 2nd. So that would have been today. So we had a feeling something was going to happen, and the Giants gave us one more hint to tell us that they weren't going to be in on Imai because they decided to sign Tyler Mahle. So we have a lot of different information on Tyler Mahle that we are going to get into. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where the Giants kept telling us that they weren't going to do certain things. And I don't know about you, but I didn't necessarily believe them. Turns out we should have believed them. It reminds me of certain things that you may have wanted for Christmas when you were a kid and your parents says, for whatever reason, hey, we're not going to be able to do it this year, or we can't get it for you, or they were sold out, whatever it was, but you just don't really believe them, even though they told you. And then Christmas comes, you're opening presents, you're opening gifts, and you're looking for that specific gift, and you didn't get it. Even though your parents told you you weren't going to get it, you still deep down expected to get it. And some of the different things that we had played around with as far as, well, are the Giants just trying to make it seem like they're not in on him and they don't want people to catch on to how interested they are? A lot of the different situations and things that we've talked about as to whether the Giants just didn't want anyone to know what their secret plan was. There was no secret plan. Not really. They told us we want short-term deals for pitchers, and that's what we're going to do. That's plain and simple. There was no secret plan. I love a national treasure, Nicolas Cage. Is there an ulterior motive? There was nothing. They told us what it was, and you could believe them or not believe them, and it is what it is. Now, I do think they are a bit vindicated because Tatsuya Imai did not get the deal that a lot of us thought he was going to get, but they still weren't in on him for whatever reason. We'll talk about that more in the second segment. But right now is about Tyler Mahle, which is a very intriguing signing for the Giants. This is from Shayna Rubin of the Chronicle. The San Francisco Giants are close to signing starting pitcher Tyler Mahle to a one-year deal. Multiple sources have told the Chronicle Mahle could very well be the final addition to the Giants rotation for 2026, joining Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Landen Roupp, and recent free agent signee Adrian Houser. Though nothing is off the table this offseason, as president of baseball operations Buster Posey has said, the addition lessens the chance of San Francisco spending for more rotation help, including Tatsuya Imai, who reportedly appears headed to Houston. The Giants are close to signing Tyler Mahle to a one-year deal. Okay, so that is how it all unfolded, and it turns out that it's going to be $10 million. All right, so that's what he's going to sign for. The California native doesn't throw hard, but can have an effective repertoire with a four-seam fastball that averages 92 miles per hour and a splitter he throws almost 28% of the time. With the cutter and slider, he primarily throws to right-handed hitters. He had his best season in 2021 with the Reds, in which he pitched 180 innings over 33 starts with 210 strikeouts and a 3.75 ERA. So that is from Shayna Rubin. Obviously, 2021 was a while ago. And he's had a couple different injuries that have kept him from getting back to that level that he was at with the Reds. I have this as well, which I thought was pretty interesting. This is from MLB Trade Rumors. Mahle is coming off an injury-riddled 2025 with the Rangers, though he was productive when healthy. The veteran righty was one of the most pleasant early season surprises, pitching to a 1.64 ERA over the first 2 months of the season. Mahle allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 11 of his first 12 starts to begin the campaign. He was knocked around for 8 earned runs across his first 2 starts of June, then hit the IL with shoulder fatigue. Mahle returned for a pair of outings in September, allowing a run over 9 2/3 innings. They go on to say persistent injuries have limited Mahle to just 125 innings over the past 3 seasons. He made 9 starts across a season and a half with Minnesota, missing time with a strained shoulder and forearm issue. It was a disappointing outcome for the Twins, who parted with Spencer Steer and Christian Encarnacion Strand to land Mahle at the 2022 trade deadline. After signing with Texas in December 2023, Mahle missed the first 4 months of the year while recovering from elbow surgery. After 3 games with his new club, he went down with shoulder tightness and he missed the rest of the year. So that's the consensus, right? Productive when healthy. But there have been some issues where he just hasn't been healthy. That's really the main problem, or the main conversation as it pertains to Tyler Mahle and why the Giants were able to get him for $10 million and 1 year was enough, right? Even Adrian Houser, obviously in a different situation, but the Giants got him for 2 years. So this is really a prove-it deal for Tyler Mahle, and can he prove that he can stay healthy throughout the course of a full Major League Baseball season? And the Giants said, hey, this is a good opportunity for you. We don't want to spend a lot of money. And I would say this deep down, as we continue to talk about, this is about McDonald. This is about Carson Wisenhunt. This is about Blade Tidwell. This is about all those guys that the Giants, Hayden Birdsong, all those guys that the Giants feel one of them is going to take a leap. And that's really the reason I believe they felt comfortable going after Tyler Mahle. Hey, it's low risk. If he gets injured, we have no choice but to push through with one of our young guys and see who can kind of take the bull by the horns and be our next up-and-coming guy. That's really what it is. I don't want to say that the Giants, obviously the Giants want Tyler Mahle to be productive and to pitch, but the Giants, they really did not want, I believe, they really did not want to spend a lot on a pitcher as Framber Valdez. Guys are still out there. And on the flip side of that, they really wanted to start this new culture of preparing their young guys and building them up so they can have some in-house winners like we've seen with Landen Roupp and with Logan Webb. So that's really what they want, but the Giants knew that they couldn't not go out and get someone, right? So they found some deals where you have Adrian Houser on a 2-year, $22 million, and you have Tyler Mahle on a 1-year, $10 million. Hey, we get 2 for the price of 1 in theory. And if one of them goes down, now we have no choice but to pitch one of the young guys, which I think deep down the Giants wanted to do, but they knew, I don't want to say that they made a move or didn't make a move because of the fan base, but I just believe that they knew it probably wouldn't have looked great if they just went in and said, because I don't even know who they would have chose, right? I don't know if they would have said, well, Carson Wisenhunt's going to be our 5, right? That wouldn't have looked good, especially with the money that you're spending across the infield. You're bringing in a new manager. So they knew they had to do something, and this was the something that they felt comfortable in doing. So that kind of ties into our next segment, because we are about to discuss why the Giants were out on Tatsuya Imai and what we can learn from the last couple months and what's about to happen next. That's all coming up. Locked on Giants. Don't move. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during happy hour always brings something new boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So you can get into that tonight. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. A lot happened, man. It's a new year, and the Giants decided to kick it off the way they kicked it off with Tyler Mahle, and they have shored up their rotation, at least for now. This is what we're assuming is going to be the rotation. And then I still think they probably go get Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer is going to be a spot starter, maybe comes out of the bullpen a little bit. I could see that being the direction that they go because Tatsuya Imai is on his way to Houston. At least he's going to the AL, but Tatsuya Imai is headed to the Houston Astros, and we have at least some understanding of why the Giants were out once you break down what the deal is and how the Giants typically like to break down and spend their money for pitchers and things like that. So the contract is reportedly for 3 seasons at $54 million guaranteed, according to John Heyman of the New York Post. The deal can max out at $63 million per Chandler Rome of The Athletic. Imai's contract also has opt-outs after each season. So what did we talk about before? Scott Boras, opt-outs, right? They're kind of synonymous with each other. They're kind of parallel with each other. And the Giants don't really like either thing, right? They do not like when they don't have the power. And I was reading somewhere else that Imai had longer deals, the same thing we heard about Murakami, had longer deals at lower AAVs, but he decided to opt into this contract with a higher AAV, shorter years, and he can get out of it every single year. So if he balls out in this first year, and a lot of people that were worried about his ability to pitch at this level, he could opt out and say, hey, somebody come pay me, right? And to do that after every single year might become a little bit exhausting for the Astros, which is maybe why the Giants didn't want to do it. I don't know that it doesn't sound like the Giants had that lower AAV offer out there from everything that we know. They didn't, because it was probably a longer commitment, which the Giants didn't feel comfortable with, or a shorter commitment with the higher price point. But you also have those opt-outs. So I think those are some of the reasons, the two options that Imai wanted, right? Or the two options that really exist for a Scott Boras client. The Giants weren't in on either one, so they did not make that move. For what it's worth, I did see a projection out there that had Tyler Mahle and Imai having very similar 2026 seasons. Now, obviously, projections don't factor in injury, but just from a production standpoint, they expect that if Tyler Mahle can stay healthy, and that's a big if, his production should look something similar to Imai. And if you look at that 18 million and that 10 million that you're paying for Tyler Mahle, that's basically a big reason why the Giants opted to go in that direction. And it's in, it's out. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but it's just 1 year. I said it in the last segment. I really think the Giants have more of a focus on one of these young guys popping for them this season, maybe even two, right? If you look at Adrian Houser as well, and just all the different injuries just throughout the season, last season, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these young guys. And I think the Giants can't really say it, even though they've been telling us. I think they care even more about it than they're making it seem to us. So that's why I think the Giants were not in on Imai. Those opt-outs, man, they can't stand them. I get it, but certain teams doesn't bother them as much. I don't think any team likes them because obviously the player has the power and you're kind of just waiting. Okay, what are you going to do this offseason? You got to do that, 3 times, right? So maybe, the Astros are just in a position where, hey, we missed the playoffs. That's not something that we've done in a very long time. Let's get a little uncomfortable and make sure we find a way to get back to the top of the AL West, because there are other teams. I mean, obviously the Mariners, we've talked before. I know they're not there yet, but even the A's with their lineup, that's going to be pretty interesting once they find some pitching. So the Astros decided it was an opportunity for them. And hey, if we have to give up some player control, it is what it is. They were moving on from Framber Valdez. So that's just kind of, we assume, right? So that's just kind of where they're at right now. I did find this very interesting. This was from MLB Trade Rumors, and this is what they had to say about the Giants as far as their spending is concerned. Roster Resource currently has the Giants payroll at $175 million for 2026. That mark doesn't include Mahle's deal or the $17 million owed to Blake Snell in mid-January as part of his deferred signing bonus. When adding in those considerations, the club is on track to comfortably exceed the $177 million it spent on payroll last season. The increase in expenses could be the reason the Giants ultimately rounded out the rotation with low-cost veterans in Houser and Mahle. A general hesitation by the front office to pursue long-term deals for starters likely factored in. So they didn't want a long-term deal, even if that AAV maybe was lower. They didn't really feel like paying for a shorter-term deal that had a higher AAV on top of the player opt-out. So nothing that Imai wanted matched up with what the Giants are trying to do. Whether or not you agree with that is a different conversation. But the Giants have kind of told us what they like and what they don't like, and they don't like anything that Imai was trying to do. I think on the baseball field, sure. But when it comes to business, and that's how you get these deals done with business, it just didn't match up. It just wasn't a good fit. And that's the Giants' prerogative, right? You don't have to like it. I don't have to like it, but that's their prerogative. I think the reality is we don't know. We don't know what Imai is going to look like. This is, I think, outside of two other guys, one being obviously Sasaki, the biggest deal coming overseas in the way that Imai did. So it is a bit of a gamble, and that's just not a gamble that the Giants are willing to take right now. I mean, if Tyler Mahle, obviously we hope that nothing bad happens and we hope that he's healthy all season long, but based on the track record, if he misses some time and one of those starters for the Giants, the young guys, if Carson Whisenhunt is kind of the same or Hayden Birdsong hasn't figured it out, I think a lot of people are going to say, I mean, what are we doing? Why did we go in this route? Conversely, you could see Tyler Mahle duplicating or trying to replicate what he did last season. And a lot of people saying, look, the Giants got that for $10 million. And if Imai doesn't look the same way he's looked in, with the Cebu Lions, everyone could say, well, the Astros are kind of stuck with them because they are they're player opt-outs, right? Not a team opt-out. So if Imai doesn't have a good season, it kind of protects him because now he can say, well, I'm opting back in because that's what the deal says, and you have to pay me $18 million, right? And if he hits those incentives, it could be even more than that. So there are a lot of ifs right now. So me personally, I'm not necessarily saying that the Giants made a mistake because I am going to wait and see, simply because we haven't seen Imai pitch in Major League Baseball. That's it, right? I don't necessarily think they should have gone about it this way, but this is what they're deciding. I think the better argument, as far as I'm concerned, would be to go get somebody like a Framber Valdez. Not that I love him and some of the things that we've seen happen with him, but I would rather just go after somebody proven versus somebody like Imai, even though Framber is supposed to cost more than Imai. At this point, we don't know because he hasn't done a deal yet. But, some of the other guys that were available, even the Zach Gallons of the world, guys like that, pay a little bit more. I think that I would have been more so okay with that, or not more so. I would have preferred that over what the Giants have done. But the Imai thing has been very, very contentious and a bit just confusing, simply because we don't know what he's going to look like now that he's over here. So if I did have an argument for what the Giants were doing, it probably wouldn't be for Imai. It would be to just go get a proven arm that we know can pitch at a high level, at the highest level in Major League Baseball. One more segment with you. With that being said, are the Giants done making moves? Well, some people think they are. Some people think that they still got one more trick up their sleeve. More Locked On Giants coming up. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On Giants with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month. $50 a year. Go to lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. If you're a true diehard Giants fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Last segment with you, and I hope everybody once again had a happy new year. I know I did. Ate some good food, had some good times, and now we're back, and welcome into 2026. I wonder if the Giants have any New Year's resolutions. I'm not quite sure, outside of saving money, which is something that has been the driving force in a lot of these moves with Adrian Houser and obviously Tyler Mahle, two guys that, we know that they can pitch in this league. There's just other things that have hindered them from being their best self. And could they become their best self here in San Francisco? I don't know. The Giants hope so. I think the Giants also hope that they do see some pops from some of their younger guys, not necessarily just in the pitching rotation, but also some of the guys that they might be bringing up for position players. And that begs the question, now what, right? I think the biggest conversation starter at this point with the Giants is, do you feel like your starting rotation is good enough for the lineup that you have, right? Because now my question is, well, you can still do something via trade, but the starting rotation pretty much feels set. So when it comes to the rest of the lineup, when you look at who they're rolling out there, let's just go through it. Elliot Ramos probably leading off in left field. You have Jung-Hoo Lee in center. I don't know where they're going to bat him, maybe 6 again. I'm not sure, right? Right field, we know, is whoever is going to hit 9. 8 or 9 is going to be the right fielder. You have Rafi Devers probably hitting 2 at first base. DH, since we're already over there, you got Bryce Eldridge. They're probably going to hit him 4 or 5, maybe 6 to start, just to kind of get him warm a little bit. Casey Schmidt is probably going to be at the later part of the lineup. Then shortstop Willy Adames, he'll be your 3-hitter, and Matt Chapman will be 5, 6. I know a lot of people have mentioned Matt Chapman as the leadoff hitter. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I'll try anything once when it comes to the Giants and their ability or inability at times to hit. We might as well see what it looks like. Then, of course, Patrick Bailey, who it's a huge year for Patrick Bailey with ABS coming in. What can he do behind the plate? What decisions does he make as far as switch hitting? Does he stick to just lefty? What does Patrick Bailey do? He'll be 7, 8, or 9, something like that. So do you think that lineup is good enough for a rotation that boasts Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Landen Roupp, and 2 guys that have kind of struggled with injuries and are starters in this league, but you really don't know what you're going to get in Adrian Houser and Tyler Mahle? In my opinion, you can put Drew Gilbert in right field if you want. You can put Luis Matos, either one. In my opinion, no. In my opinion, now that you've decided, and that's so funny about the whole chicken and egg conversation, now that you've decided that this is the direction you want to go for your rotation, in my opinion, and it's not a bad rotation. A lot of people are saying, hey, I like this in theory. It's just a matter of how many innings the guys at the back end are going to be able to give you. But I like this in theory. So now you look at that lineup and say, is this lineup good enough for that rotation? My answer is no. Now, I'm not saying you need to go get Kyle Tucker. I've been pretty vocal that I just can't do the 10 years. But now, in my opinion, and this is probably what they're going to do anyway, but in my opinion, you may have left the Harrison Bader conversation, right? Since you did not get Imai or somebody that is, I guess, projected to be one of these high-level arms, now that you have decided not to do that, I do think that you need to make this lineup better. So in my opinion, I feel like you may have left the Harrison Bader conversation and more so entered into a Cody Bellinger conversation, more so entered into, I know Bo Bichette, that's another big commitment, but those are the types of conversations I feel like the Giants have entered into now that they decided to go in this direction with their rotation. I don't know that you can just go get Harrison Bader and just get on out there. I don't know that you can do that. right? I don't know that you can not make any more moves and feel okay with rolling this lineup out every single day. I don't know that you can feel like that. If you had went and said, we're going to go get, and this is completely unrealistic, but we're going to go get Framber Valdez and Tatsuya Imai, right? That's what we're going to do. Then I would say, cool. I don't think you need to do anything with that lineup then. I think that rotation is good enough. You don't have to do anything with that lineup. That is not what the Giants have done. So because of that, I believe that they need to go get something else. Now, do I think they will? No clue. Right? If they decided we're going to go get Ranger Suarez and Tatsuya Imai, or Ranger Suarez and Zach Gallen, something like that kind of combination, I would say, all right, maybe a Harrison Bader, maybe not. Feel like you can just roll the ball out there and, put it on the bump and see what these guys can do. Right? You're going to have enough offense for that. I don't know if you're going to have enough offense for what you're rolling out there. That's based on injury history and everything else. So I think that they should re-enter a conversation, and maybe it's a trade or something like that. But I do think that they have entered a different conversation from a lineup perspective, because we've been talking so much about the pitchers, the young pitchers taking a leap. We haven't really talked about Casey Schmidt, right? And how much of a leap that he could or may not take. We haven't talked about Luis Matos or Drew Gilbert, because I don't know how much, at least the fan base, expects those guys in the outfield to take a leap. I think there's more hope behind Casey Schmidt, but as far as the guys that they've had, I know a lot of people get mad at me when I talk about Elliot Ramos. That is somebody that gets brought up as far as taking a leap. But now we're thinking, okay, so we're going to have to get a leap from Elliot Ramos, and maybe not even, because I do think Elliot Ramos had a good season. So if Elliot Ramos just stays the same, right, because that power, 21 home runs, that's impressive. But Elliot Ramos cannot regress. I'll put it to you like that. He cannot regress. You probably need a bit of a leap from Jung-Hoo Lee. Everyone keeps saying that was his first full season in Major League Baseball. Okay, let's see what he does in this second season. You need something from right field. And then you need Casey Schmidt to continue to do what he's done. And your big money players have to ball out for you. So a lot of things have to go right. And I just think there is a small margin of error when you look at this rotation, the possibility of injuries based on track record for who they've signed, on top of the fact that lineup right now has potential, but there's just a lot of ifs. So that's my question mark with the Giants. So be sure to comment, YouTube, who do you think can kind of take that leap and help the Giants in the field? If they decide we're not making any other moves, who do you trust the most to take that leap in the field for the San Francisco Giants? Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. Look, I know it would be really, really last minute, but if you need that last minute holiday gift, or someone keeps asking you what you want, make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club, ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through Locked On sfgiants.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you next week. Please continue to enjoy what's left of the holiday. I know this is a weird spot when you got days off, when you got to work, and you got to do this, but please be sure to enjoy it with your friends and family. We will be back on Monday talking more Giants. Until then, peace.